Dream your way forward. In the midst of the direst poverty and despair, the human spirit, especially that of a child, will find some hope to cling to, some promise of a better day. Dolly Parton. Where did I end with this? Here we go, okay. A patchwork past. Okay, we'll start here. With Cleo wheezing in the front. Divine dose of Dolly. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11. At the end of each chapter, you'll find a few questions and exercises to help you apply Dolly's inspiring lessons to your own life and journey of faith. You don't have to write your answers down, but you might be surprised how helpful it can be if you do. Dolly has frequently said how much she loves making lists and how important it is for her to write down her dreams. You'll also find a relevant theme song from Dolly's discography that you're encouraged to listen to in order to enhance your appreciation and understanding of Dolly and how she expresses her life and faith through her music. A couple questions for reflection are also provided for your consideration after listening to the suggested songs. Finally, you'll find a short prayer to adapt and use as a model of your own time of talking with God. These prayers are mine, inspired by what I've learned from Dolly, both throughout my life as well as while writing this book. There's nothing magic about my words here, but I hope they'll kindle a spark to ignite your desire to talk to God. None of this is intended to be homework, but just a way of enriching your personal experience and strengthening your faith. What childhood dreams does the story of Dolly Parton's coat of many colors stir in you? What incident, conversation, or gift from your childhood stands out in your memory as one that has sustained you through hard times? I'm going to reread that. Let's see. Coat of many colors. The story doesn't end there, of course. Dolly transformed the pain of bittersweet memory by writing and recording the song Coat of Many Colors. It's still my favorite song that I ever wrote or sang, Dolly shared in her autobiography. No wonder then that this incident became the basis for the recent television movies about Dolly's early life, Dolly Parton's Coat of Many Colors, and Dolly Parton's Christmas of Many Colors, Circle of Love, both on NBC. While it is easy to romanticize the past when looking back from a more prosperous present, Dolly's song does more than honor a special childhood memory. Deceptively simple and straightforward, the poignant lyrics of her song place us as listeners in her whole worn shoes. The song transcends the incident it recounts to reveal a deeper revelation. For the heart of the song is that Dolly felt rich in her new coat, even as those around her mocked her for what their limited thinking deemed poor. Through the song, she tells us she tried to make her classmates see that one is only poor if they choose to be, coincidentally pointing out the same timeless truth to you and me. This truth is at the center of Dolly's success. She knew, even as a little girl, that the Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. 1 Samuel 16:7. None of us want to be judged, labeled, or dismissed based on how we look or the ways others perceive us. We want to be known for what's on the inside, for the unique, special creation God has made each of us. Through her words and in her music, Dolly's consistently reminds us all to embrace our dreams in a big old bear hug of perseverance and possibility. Despite the poverty into which she was born and the hurtful attitude of many around her, Dolly would not be deterred in pursuing her dreams. As one biographer observed, with an active imagination, Dolly, the child, was able to transcend her desolate surroundings and circumstances, and before long, that imagination and unyielding faith provided a way to spare her the bleak future that seemed so certain to be hers as a woman of the mountains. Simply put, Dolly had faith that God was doing something bigger in her life than anyone could see. Dolly's story inspires me. I'm reminded that no matter our external circumstances or what haters might say, I never want limitations to define me. I want to pursue my dreams, confident of God's unique plan for my life. Dolly's example inspires us all to use our gifts to reach beyond where we start and to look ahead at where we are going, no matter what we are up against. Oh yeah, I remember that song. What unfulfilled dreams do you still harbor from childhood? What's one small goal you can set and pursue today to rekindle your passion from when you were young? Listen to Dolly's song In the Good Old Days, When Times Were Bad, before answering the following questions. Okay, I'll do that. Let me read the little prayer here from Dudley Delffs. Dear God, you're in charge. You've made me and brought me through good times and bad to where I am now. Help me see past the limitations of my life and focus on your many blessings. Thank you for the talents and resources you poured into my life. It gives me wisdom about how to use them to be the best version of myself, the person you created me to be, so that I may bless others. Amen. I saw a meme today that said the Church of Satan never had residential boarding schools. Chapter 2. You need wings to fly. You're not going to see your dreams come true if you don't put wings, legs, arms, hands, and feet on them. You're not going to see your dreams come true if you don't put wings, legs, arms, hands, and feet on them. Dolly Parton. To hear Dolly tell it, there was never a time in her life when she wasn't performing music. Already making up her own little songs and singing them, Dolly naturally sang in church, especially considering her granddaddy, Jake Owens, was the pastor at the little country church. She's often said she began singing hymns up front when she was only 6 or 7, and as she began to learn how to play guitar, she soon accompanied herself during the services. By age 10, Dolly had made a huge leap from singing in the church to performing on the radio. Thanks to her mother's brother, a talented singer-songwriter named Bill Owens, whom she called Uncle Billy, young Dolly encountered a golden opportunity to begin her professional singing career by becoming a regular on the Cass Walker Farm and Home Tour, a local radio and TV variety show there in East Tennessee. If you study the life of Orton Coswell, Cass Walker, it's easy to understand why he agreed to hire Dolly Parton for his show. Born into a working-class family in Sevier County, Tennessee, Mr. Walker had begun chasing his dream at a young age, quitting school at just 14. He then spent almost a decade working a variety of jobs, including coal mining in Kentucky, to save money, to open his first Cass Walker cash store in Knoxville. Eventually, he would open over 24 such stores in East Tennessee, Eastern Kentucky, and Southwest Virginia. Always looking for novel ways to promote his brand, Mr. Walker started his own local radio. Oh, did that scare you, Mama? And later, television variety show. I grew up in Middle Tennessee, about 100 miles south of Nashville. So we didn't have Cass Walker stores. But my wife grew up in Knoxville and vividly remembers the colorful, cantankerous, controversial Cass as the epitome of Southern racist conservative Baptist self-made man. His stores, along with his advertising and his radio and TV programs, reflected down-home straight-talking, working-class values accentuated with sensational, attention-grabbing gimmicks. A master salesman and a consummate promoter, Cass Walker may have been as impressed by Dolly's work ethic and attitude as he was with her talent. As Dolly recounts in her autobiography, her Uncle Bill, who had taught her how to play the guitar and shared her passion for music and stardom, took her backstage to meet Mr. Walker, where she promptly declared, "Mr. Walker, I want to work for you." According to Dolly, Walker was impressed with her choice of words, claiming that many people asked him for a job, but virtually none offered to work for him. He hired 10-year-old Dolly on the spot. Dolly describes her first public performance there in Knoxville in the small WIVK studio auditorium as terrifying, exhilarating, and ultimately addictive. It was as if she knew she was lighting a fuse that would result in a life-transforming explosion of the talents, dreams, and determination within her teeny frame. Starting out tentatively, Dolly owned the opportunity and poured her heart into it, claiming to sing with the same gusto she exuded in her barnyard performances back home. She admits that, for all she knew, this might be her one and only chance to sing on the radio. She held nothing back, and the live audience there loved her for it. She was an instant hit. The audience went wild and demanded an encore, which Dolly had not thought to prepare. Guided by Uncle Bill and her own instincts, Dolly sang the same song again, to even more thunderous applause. She claims that incident began her love affair with the public, one she knew she would have for the rest of her life. Keep in mind, this was long before the breakout success of incredibly young talents like Tanya Tucker, LeAnn Rimes, and Taylor Swift. The story amazes me. While we may not have the same kind of dramatic opportunities to advance our dreams like Dolly experienced that day, we can all be reminded to give all we've got when we finally get our shot. We may be nervous, self-conscious, and afraid of messing up and blowing the opportunity, but all the more reason to make the most of every moment, every encounter, every blessing that opens up before us. As Jesus said, all things are possible for one who believes. Fool for words. Well, I didn't have a big break at such a young age like Dolly. I probably wrote as often as she sang. I've been a fool for words and stories for as long as I can remember. I'd read everything I could get my hands on. Blowing past Dick and Jane stories once I discovered a pig named Wilbur and a spider named Charlotte, among others. I read chapter books at school, true adventure tales from the library, highlights and grit in the doctor's office, and whatever I could find at home. Naturally, I tried my hand at imitating most everything I read. Such practice surely made a difference. In his best-selling book, Outlier, Malcolm Gladwell asserts that a person must invest at least 10,000 hours into practicing their talent or art in order to excel and maximize their potential. While some experts dispute his claim, Dolly Parton certainly provides ample evidence about what it takes to be the best. Of course, Dolly began singing and writing songs before she started school, so accumulating those hours may have been easy. For the rest of us, though, such an investment of time and energy sounds daunting and prohibitive. And if we haven't yet invested that much time into fulfilling our dreams, if we've even identified what our dream is, then we may feel like it's too late. The trick, I suppose, which Gladwell and others have explained, is not to make the hours the point, but simply steady practice in the pursuit of one's passion. If you love to draw and paint, then you'll naturally pick up a pen or a brush and start doodling and sketching. If you love to cook, then no one will have to tell you to experiment with flavors to create your own recipes. And if you love music as much as Dolly, then you don't have to be forced to practice your piano lessons or come up with lyrics for your own songs. While Dolly wasn't my inspiration at the time, more likely it was Franklin W. Dixon,